Good evening and welcome to this edition of Channel 1 News Hour. I hope you had yourself a very wonderful day today. Live from the corporation headquarters, my name is Edward Kabasa. A comprehensive bulletin lined up for you tonight. But first, let's take a look at the highlights.
Whereas there was an impression that had been created that the ministry had given KEMSA the list of the suppliers, it is actually them, KEMSA, who had provided the details while submitting the rationalized budget, as mentioned above.
Health PS Susan Mochache denies coercing KEMSA to procure COVID-19 supplies from specific firms. Kenya resorts to manual testing of COVID-19 due to shortage of reagents. Government freezes accounts of 9 suspected Al-Shabaab financiers. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Our sign language interpreter is Simon Karotha. Health Principal Secretary Susan Mochache says at no time did the Ministry of Health coerce the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority to favor certain suppliers. Mochache says contrary to claims made by KEMSA, the authority did in fact overspend beyond the 758 million shillings advised by the ministry in the purchase of medical supplies meant to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. Susan Mochache has moved to clear her name in the ongoing probe on alleged misappropriation of public funds at the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority. Mochache had been accused by KEMSA of directing tendering processes at the authority in an alleged scandal that continues to give COVID-19 management in the country a bad image.
Whereas there was an impression that had been created that the ministry had given KEMSA the list of the suppliers, it is actually them, KEMSA, who had provided the details while submitting the rationalized budget.
Mochache accused KEMSA of bypassing the Ministry of Health in requesting Treasury to help the authority offset budgetary deficits, despite clear directions from the ministry that KEMSA must limit its spending to the 758 million shillings made available for the purchase of medical supplies.
Chair, in my earlier letter you have seen I've only given them concurrence on the 758 million. And I also raised the concern that has been raised by my colleague that communications going to the Treasury must go through the accounting officer of the Ministry of Health, which in this case had been bypassed.
Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe told MPs that no item has been physically stolen at KEMSA, though the authority is said to accrue some operational losses due to the procurement of some hard-to-sell medical supplies.
The money lost, as you coined it, is a loss, is an operational loss based on the drop in prices. In other words, there is no money that is lost as in there is money that did not buy anything. There is no money that did not buy anything. All the money that was spent on buying PPEs, on buying equipment, on buying commodities, on buying ventilators, all those things are in the warehouses of KEMSA.
The Minister of Transport, which had also been invited to explain its handling of donations made by Chinese businessman Jack Ma, was sent away by the MPs for failing to provide adequate responses to queries made by the lawmakers. MPs say they have reason to believe that funds have been lost at KEMSA and medical supplies meant for the fight against COVID-19 may have been stolen through some skewed tendering processes. The Ministry of Health is admitting that the country is running short of testing reagents for the coronavirus, which explains the low numbers of tests being undertaken lately. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe told Parliament that Kenya currently relies on a manual testing system after failing to secure supplies for the electronic testing from the United States of America, which has put an embargo on the exports for domestic consumption. The revelation came as the country recorded 178 new cases of coronavirus from 3,474 samples tested in the last 24 hours.
34,493 Kenyans have tested positive for the novel coronavirus since the disease was first announced in Kenya 173 days ago. 178 new infections were reported in the country after 3,474 samples were tested in the last 24 hours, and the cumulative sample size tested so far now stands at 459,562.
What is currently happening across the world is that because of the automatic testing system is based on equipment that gets reagents from America. The Roche reagents come from America. America, in the meantime, have placed an embargo on the exportation of any reagents, both on the Roche machines and the Abbott machines, because of their own domestic situation. Therefore, we have resorted now to manual testing. And manual testing is much slower, and manual testing obviously would take about a lot longer.
In a statement, the Minister of Health said that from the new infections, 173 were Kenyans, while 5 foreigners, 110 males and 68 females. The youngest is a 3-year-old child, while the oldest, 77. 21 counties were affected. 48 cases were reported in Nairobi County. Kericho has 24 cases, Busia 22, Garissa and Kiambu 12 cases each, Kisii 10, Kisumu 9, Uasin Gishu 8, Nakuru 7, Embu 6, Bomet 4, Mombasa 3, Kitui, Machakos and Narok 2 cases each, while Laikipia, Meru, Siaya, Isiolo, Makueni and Nyeri each recorded a case.
We have very serious challenges of the supply of the reagents. And I know this because I have been on KEMSA the whole day, even before I came here, telling them we must look for these reagents so that we can continue testing.
On Wednesday, 238 patients recovered from the disease, 187 were discharged from home-based care program and 51 from various health facilities. The total number of recoveries now stands at 20,449. The country also lost 4 patients to the disease, bringing the total number of those who have died from the deadly virus to 581. Purity Museo, Channel 1 News.
The government has frozen the funds and assets of 9 alleged financiers said to be bankrolling Al-Shabaab terror organization in the country. Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i says the move is aimed at disrupting the activities of the terrorist group on Kenyan soil, as well as bringing to book sponsors and perpetrators of terrorism in Kenya. In what may be the boldest move yet to stamp the operations of the Al-Shabaab in the country, the government has released the names of individuals believed to be bankrolling the terror organization. The 9 individuals include Halima Aden Ali, Walid Ahmed Zain, Sheikh Gorse Boru, Mohammed Abdi Ali alias Abu Fida, Nusaiba Mohammed Haji, Abdi Majid Aden Hassan, Mohammed Ali Abdi, Mukhtar Ibrahim Ali, Mire Abdullahi Elmi. Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i says the move taken by the government is aimed at choking terror facilitation networks and destroying the financial muscles of individuals funding the terror gang within Kenyan borders. Matiang'i says the government is actively engaged in stifling operating spaces used by terror groupings and will act tough on sympathizers and sponsors of terror. Kenya has been a target for the Al-Shabaab since it sent troops to Somalia in 2011 to dismantle the terror group. President Uhuru Kenyatta has urged the global community to start viewing and engaging young people as an asset with current value and not as a future promise. The president said if properly nurtured and provided with the right opportunities, the youth have unlimited potential to become change makers and create a development revolution.
Nairobi during a virtual high-level meeting of the United Nations Generation Unlimited, President Uhuru Kenyatta said that youth are a present asset and not a future prospect. The president saying his decision to appoint young people into top government positions is a deliberate intervention meant to provide the youth with an opportunity to be mentored and be prepared for more senior positions.
Our young people are without doubt a generation unlimited. Change makers are what they are because they have perfected the art of breaking boundaries. In the face of challenges, they find a way out. And if there's no way out, they create one. And in good times, they look to opportunities. And if there are no opportunities, they create them. And that is why they are called makers of things.
President Kenyatta, who is also the UN Global Champion for Young People, encouraged the youth to shed their fears and engage in positive activities within their communities.
I take the position that the youth must be on their part and have the right mindset, and they must appreciate the essence of self-discipline, hard work, and especially integrity. They must believe in creating wealth and not desiring to be rich using shortcut methods.
The president told the meeting, also attended by ICT Innovation and Youth Affairs Cabinet Secretary Jomo Sheru, that social institutions, the environment, especially the education system, and lack of self-drive were among the major setbacks impeding the youth from reaching their potential as change makers.
We are telling our young people that they are actually closer to the future than we are, and that in their endeavors they are likely to discover things that we cannot fathom in our lifetimes. And this is because the future belongs to them, if only they have the right mindset.
To address the environmental barriers inhibiting Kenyan youth from succeeding in the digital space, the president said his administration was rolling out a competence-based curriculum CBC and a DigiSchool initiative to build young digital minds.
Our DigiSchool program has provided over 1 million tablets to children in primary schools, and we are creating an environment that will nurture change makers of the generation unlimited.
Purity Museo, Channel 1 News.
President Uhuru Kenyatta Wednesday received credentials from 6 envoys recently posted to Kenya by their respective countries. The president welcomed the new envoys and wished them a successful tour of duty in Kenya, restating the country's strong commitment to multilateralism. The new ambassadors commended President Kenyatta for the country's sustained fight against COVID-19 and its development agenda.
The president received diplomatic accreditation documents from Ambassadors Valentine Zellweger of Switzerland, Ole Thonke of Denmark, and Caroline Vicini of Sweden, Ambassador Zhu Pingqian of China, Netherlands, Martin Broer, and High Commissioner John Stephen Simba Chawene of Tanzania also presented their credentials. The head of state challenged the new envoys to work towards deepening existing strong bilateral ties between Kenya and their respective countries. The new Swiss ambassador Valentine Zellweger congratulated President Kenyatta for the country's sustained fight against COVID-19. The new Swedish ambassador Caroline Vicini said her focus will be growing Kenya's distinct profile as a regional hub for innovations and business startups, while Ambassador Martin Broer of Netherlands outlined expanded access of Kenyans' exports into Europe through his country as his top priority. On his part, Ambassador Zhu Pingqian said China will continue supporting Kenya's development programs, especially Vision 2030 and Big Four Agenda, aligning projects. High Commissioner Dr. John Stephen Simba Chawene of Tanzania said his focus will be enhancing cross-border trade and increased people-to-people interactions between the two East African nations. Suleiman Yeri, Channel 1 News.
Thank you very much, Suleiman Yeri, for that report. We're taking a short break. Don't go anywhere. Channel 1 News continues shortly.
On the next episode of Ashoka.
May you be victorious. Your actions have always made me proud, dear. Though you are not trained, owing to your maturity, patience, and concentration, you're bound to give a sterling performance, I believe so. This king of the forest has tremendous potential that someday he will definitely become Emperor Ashoka.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Why are you walking like that? Like what? Let me tell you, no one cares who you are or what you are wearing or where you slept last night.
What do you think you're doing?
You know, I wish I could see it, Senorita, my love, but you know, just make this moment memorable.
Oh my God. How about this for a memory? Back off. I said we are done. I meant it then, and I mean it now, Sisha.
Maybe she has become a witch doctor.
Oh, that's very dangerous. Oh, clean this area. Cleanse this room.
You little rat, where the hell did you put my stock? Where the hell did you put my stock? What? I don't know what you're talking about. You took my stock last week. Kinyanjui, do not test my face. Now look at how much must you cost me.
Jumapili hii kwenye runinga ya KBC, ungana naye Askofu Michael Wanderi wa kanisa la Christian Foundation Fellowship Kiambu kuanzia saa 1 hadi saa 2 asubuhi.
Ningetaka nikwambie, our Jehovah God, because the Bible says he is the same yesterday, today and forevermore. He is able to take you to a place of abundance. He is able to take you to Rehoboth in the name of Jesus Christ.
Kipindi ni neno la neema, ukiletewa naye Askofu Michael Wanderi wa kanisa la Christian Foundation Fellowship Kiambu. Usikose.
Kenya is a breathtaking destination with sites that offer you eye-opening experience. Channel 1 offers you an experience of Kenya's finest tourist spots.
It is a peaceful place.
Magical scenes.
Second World War was prosecuted from this hotel.
Thursday, 9 p.m.
The remaining bit is now for the experts.
Welcome back to the program. Deputy President William Ruto has warned public servants that they will be held accountable if they are found culpable of misappropriating government resources. In a tour of Mwatate in Taita Taveta County, the Deputy President asked leaders to focus on pressing issues facing Kenyans other than engaging in divisive referendum talks.
Divide the political class in the country down the middle, with a section condemning those drumming up support for the changes at expense of the citizens. Accompanying the Deputy President on a tour of Mwatate in Taita Taveta County, the leaders called on those advocating for the changes not to use the constitution amendments to reintroduce ethnic-based politics in the country.
Rege ya nini? Hatutaki BBI. Sisi tunataka kazi, watu wetu warudishwe kazi, ama nasema uongo?
Yu ametuunganisha sisi. Pali tuko hakuna Mkamba, pali tuko hakuna Mjaluo, pali tuko hakuna Mkikuyu. Sisi tukikaa tunaongea either Kiswahili au Kisungu.
Katiba tunataka iwe ni mkataba baina yetu sisi kama wa Kenya. Na kama ni mkataba ni tukae tujadiliane, sio waje kutuambia haya ndio mazuri na nyinyi.
On his part, Deputy President William Ruto asked leaders to focus on the pressing issues facing Kenyans other than engaging in divisive referendum talks.
I request all leaders that we be sensitive so that even as we push for things to be discussed about leaders, we must remember that there are millions of Kenyans who also are Kenyans and their issues must be attended to.
Ruto said it was insensitive for leaders to advocate for the interest of politicians at a time when Kenyans were suffering in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic.
In our nation today, the last 3 months, 1.7 million Kenyans lost their jobs. Our unemployment rate amongst our youth has gone up in the last 3 months from 5% to almost 11%.
At the same time, he said matters of accountability were not issues that can be negotiated or explained about using other ways other than the law.
Matters accountability is not a matter to be negotiated in any forum or to be explained away using any other means other than facing the law.
Suleiman Yeri, Channel 1 News.
To revenue matters, where the Senate Select Committee on COVID-19 has castigated Senate Majority Chief Whip Irungu Kangata and Senate Majority Leader Sama Pogisho, accusing them of lacking the interest of Kenyans. Committee's Vice Chairperson Bethika Linturi said it was wrong for the Senate leadership to hold on to their stand over the revenue sharing formula. This comes as Senate Majority Whip Irungu Kangata insisted that some counties have been returning unspent monies to the exchequer as other counties fail to fund development projects.
Senate Majority Chief Whip Irungu Kangata says the 12-member special committee formed to unlock the stalemate on revenue sharing is yet to come up with an agreeable formula. Kangata, however, expressed confidence that the formula of 1 vote, 1 shilling being fronted by the government will carry the day.
County of Turkana returned 3.7 billion to the treasury. But those of us who come from this region, money comes, we do not get even a single coin in terms of returning any money. We don't return even a single coin of shilling to the treasury. And therefore, we must ensure we give justice.
His sentiments were echoed by Kirinyaga Senator Charles Kibiru and his Embu counterpart Njeru Ndwiga, saying the formula debate has been hijacked for other purposes.
Na hiyo siasa imeshikana na maneno ya population data ya 2009. Watu hawataki tutumie the current population data.
The current impasse we have at the Senate is not so much about money. It's that I can tell you, it's about politics year 2022.
Those of us who come from Mount Kenya, through this process, we shall know our friends, we shall know the pretenders, those that smile at us during the day, but at night they are busy plotting against us.
The Senate Select Committee on COVID-19, led by its Vice Chair, Meru Senator Mithika Linturi, however, says it was wrong for Senate leadership to hold on to their stand over the revenue sharing formula.
Kwa madhumuni ya kuhakikisha Kenya yasimama pamoja kama taifa. Na kwa hivyo, kusema nyinyi watu wa Mount Kenya, nashindo unaongelea Mount Kenya ni nani? Mimi ni mmoja wa watu wa Mount Kenya. Mimi kaunti yangu ni Meru. Sikuwa kwa hiyo habari.
Leo fikiria kaunti kama ya Kwale ipoteze bilioni 1.1 au Meru nani ipoteze karibu 1 bilioni. Ni kweli, ni sawa kweli? Haitawezekana.
Kama ni kiongozi wa Mount Kenya azungumzie Mount Kenya, lakini kama kiongozi wa Senate azungumzie taifa zima, kwa sababu Senate yaangalia kaunti zote 47 katika nchi ya Kenya.
The senators who spoke in Mombasa say the objections over the revenue sharing formula has nothing to do with 2022 general elections. Meanwhile, a section of leaders from Kitutu Chache South have expressed disappointment in what they term as suppression of freedom of speech. The leaders were reacting to an incident where residents of Nyatieko and members of the Fourth Estate in the area were allegedly attacked by police officers following a peaceful protest.
There were running battles between the police and the residents. The residents protesting the garbage siting in Nyatieko, and the police, I don't know what they were chasing.
At the same time, we condemn this incident whereby the journalists' gadgets, equipments were being confiscated and they were being beaten. I think the journalists were doing their own job.
Residents in the area were protesting against a plan by the county government to establish a dumping site in the area when the protest was aborted and officers allegedly roughed up members of the public. Kamche Menza for Channel 1 News.
Doctors in Embu County have threatened to go on strike in 7 days if the county government does not improve their working conditions. The medics are also citing non-payment of their COVID-19 allowances by the county administration. This even as health services in Tana River County remained paralyzed due to the ongoing health workers' strike.
Solidarity forever. Led by the Upper Eastern Secretary of the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union KMPDU, Elvis Mwandiki, doctors in Embu County have given a 7-day notice to Governor Martin Wambora's administration, which they accuse of turning a blind eye to their problems. The doctors now vow to paralyze services at all health facilities in the county if their grievances are not addressed by the time the notice expires.
No doctor has been promoted in Embu County for the last 10 years, including some of our doctors who are consultants. Wako kwa job group M, ambayo ni job group ya interns.
In the same breath, the ongoing strike by health workers in Tana River County have left residents stranded for medical services. Some of the patients who came for their scan results and some expecting results from the laboratory as early instructed were forced to walk home empty-handed, with others seeking help from the private hospitals.
Wanawake kizaa, mimi watu wale nje alikuwa anamsaidia. Ikizidi na kimbilia hospitali.
Kuna tatizo, magari ya kubeba wagonjwa mahututi, madawa na vifaa za kufanya kazi. Huwezi andika askari kazi alafu bila bunduki na risasi umwambie askari ya polisi aende kazi, itakuwa ni vigumu.
Elsewhere, a 21-year-old second-year student at Eldred Polytechnic has invented sensor hand washing machine that will caution locals from the deadly coronavirus disease. Duncan Madenge says he hopes to help communities during this time the country is grappling with the coronavirus with his innovation.
Mashini ambayo unaosha mkono bila kuguza mfereji, unaweka mkono chini na chini ya mfereji na maji inatoka.
Finally, more than 150 Kitengela-based pastors have dedicated 1 week of fasting and prayers, seeking divine interventions for the country in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic and massive corruption in the government. The 1 week prayers are also meant to strengthen the bond between pastors in the region during the post-COVID-19 pandemic.
Maana tunajua tukiwa na Mungu akituongoza tutashinda kila kitu na huduma itakuwa rahisi, maana Mungu ndiye anatupatia nguvu.
Mara nyingi taifa wameongea mambo ya corruption. Wakati kanisa watakapoongea na sauti moja, hapo ndipo nchi itabadilika.
Timothy Kipnusu for Channel 1 News.
And in other matters, residents of Baringo South who were recently displaced by rising water levels of Lake Baringo are now living in fear after a huge sinkhole appeared in the vicinity, triggering panic among the flood victims. According to the residents, a billow of smoke was spotted emanating from the ground before the earth caved in, further gushing out water. Baringo County Governor Stanley Kiptis has called on geologists to move in and assess the area.
After relocating from their previous homes following flooding exacerbated by rising water levels in the nearby lakes, a tragedy is again knocking on their doors. These flood victims in Baringo South woke up to a shocking phenomenon which they say could be a ticking time bomb. A part of the ground they now occupy caved in.
Asubuhi saa 12 ikatoa tu kama moshi ile ya jiko. Ikainuka, sisi tukadhania hiyo ilikuwa ni nini? Watu wenye boma walikuwa nadhani ile ni hippopotamus imetokezea. Kumbe dakika kidogo tu ikaenda chini, maji kaanza kutoka.
What is more worrying, however, they say the hole could be having a secret outlet as waters flowing in from the nearby flooding Lake Baringo is yet to fill up the giant hole.
Unaona maji vile yanatiririka yanamwakika ndani ya simo lile, lakini hayajai, hayabunguki. So yale ambayo tunaona ya kwamba ni jambo la hatari kwa wakaji wa hapa.
In case wakati yote usiku ama mchana inasaporomoka, tunajikuta wote tumehangaika na tunaaga.
And in what may seem like a double tragedy, the flood victims are now worried that it might be a disaster in waiting.
Unataka kutoka kweli, lakini hauna mahali ya kwenda. Hata wakikuja hapa hawana hiyo tents ya kujenga. Hata wenye walifika hapa hawajawahi kupata hiyo tents.
Area leaders, among them Baringo Governor Stanley Kiptis, have urged the residents to move to safer grounds, calling on the national government to move in and ascertain the safety of the area.
Call upon the geologists to come and carry research and inform us of what's happening beneath the ground, because we were blaming the rainfall, but we are seeing as if this plate tectonics is swapping. So there's a bit of some movement in the landmass. So we call upon geologists to come and inform us so that we may guide the community in where they can actually settle.
Kiptis was speaking while distributing food to over 1,000 flood victims who are currently living in IDP camps in Kampi Ndege in Marigat Ward. Kamchimenza for Channel 1 News.
A maritime conservation group in Kilifi County has devised alternative means of livelihood to cope with economic effects of COVID-19, which has adversely affected tourism in the region. The group, which consists of more than 50 members, promotes conservation of mangroves through ecotourism and tree planting.
As the COVID-19 pandemic continues to hit hard outside and within the country, bringing with it massive job losses, many people have been forced to seek alternative means of livelihood. In Mida Creek, Kilifi County, Bidii na Kazi Women Group has decided to embrace conservation of mangroves in a bid to reignite tourism in the region. Arafa Salim Baya, a renowned conservationist and founder of the group, says they have made big strides in their quest to improve mangrove trees that was depleted by loggers.
Sababu hasa ya kuanzisha mradi kama huu ni kulinda rasilimali ya mikoko. Kwa sababu tunataka rasilimali ilindwe, lazima tutafute miradi endelevu ambayo tutafaidika kama jamii, tutafaidika kama wamama na vijana wa Mida Creek.
To supplement their income, the group has also set up a restaurant to promote ecotourism.
Sasa ukitembea Mida Creek, ile hoteli tuko nao pale, imetumiza kama wamama. Kwa sababu ufadhili tumetumia, tumejenga hoteli, wageni hakuna.
Kufikia saa hii corona imetuharibia mambo mengi sana, kwa sababu kulingana na mpando watu wa mambo ya utalii imeshuka sana. Tunaweza kukaa kwenye muda wetu katika sehemu zetu za kazi, tukafanya kazi kwa siku moja, kwa sababu corona imeleta shida kulingana na mpando wa utalii. Wageni wanaokuja hapa tunapata kwa leo pengine wageni 2, 3.
The restaurant, which is located right in the middle of the creek, is now the main source of income for the more than 50 members in the group. Bidii na Kazi Women Group also bought canoes for use by tourists in excursions in the mangrove site. However, the business is yet to achieve its full potential owing to the global health crisis that has hit the tourism industry hardest. Meanwhile, the group is inviting the Tourism and Wildlife Cabinet Secretary Najib Balala to tour the creek.
Tunaomba hasa kwa waziri wetu Mheshimiwa Balala, katika wakati ya market zile site ambazo Wakenya zaidi, tunaomba Wakenya zaidi watembelee haya maeneo, na tunaomba wageni pia wa nje watembelee, na waziri Balala aje maeneo kama haya.
And in other matters, the Kenya Film Commission will establish a fully equipped film hub in Bomet County to help young people exploit their talents. The commission has entered into an agreement with the Bomet County government, which will provide land for setting up of the hub that will cost 15 million shillings.
Filmmakers, actors, artists in Bomet County have all reason to smile after the industry received a major boost aimed at improving their trade. The county government has signed a 15 million shillings partnership with Kenya Film Commission that will see the county become the second county after Nyeri to have a fully equipped film hub.
I would like everyone to embrace the way the trends are moving in terms of technology, because if we remain behind, then it will be very difficult on how we'll be able to sell our content.
Elsewhere, a tenant in the Ndigwa, Kiambu County was forced to spend the night in the cold after the landlord removed all doors of her rented house over the rent arrears. Margaret Wanjigu Gashao says the landlord sent auctioneers to her house despite having a court order prohibiting forceful eviction.
Do not owe anybody rent. If I owe them any rent, is money that has been set aside by the court. And I had orders this morning before they came, and they didn't bother to look at the order. They brought in police. My lawyer tried talking to them. They did not even to listen. So they broke the doors and did this mess.
And a family in Nyatieko village, Kisii County, is seeking justice after their kin was allegedly knocked down by a Kisii County vehicle on Monday. The family at the same time is calling for assistance from well-wishers to have their 8-year-old son get medical treatment.
Atuchiwesi hata alafu huyu mtoto sahi jana alishindwa kutembea, alafu tukashindwa pesa ya kumpeleka hospitali. Sasa tunaomba serikali itusaidie. Hiyo gari ya Nyeri mkuu inamkonga ni gari ya county ya Kisii County.
In Narok County, hundreds of women from Limanet area in Narok North Sub-County on Wednesday held a peaceful demonstration to compel the police to release 7 youths who had been arrested for assaulting an illicit alcohol brewer. Elsewhere, the Boston Juvenile Correction Facility in Mombasa County has benefited from a donation of learning equipment from Safaricom Foundation worth 1 million shillings. The equipment will be used by inmates who are studying computer science, agriculture, masonry, electrical engineering, welding and plumbing.
To have their training done well so that they are able to integrate well in society. We've liaised with various NGOs, so they are going to be trained in farming. They have enough tools, then they'll sit for an exam.
Meanwhile, a row is brewing between Natural residents and Kiambu County government over compensation for land earmarked for the standard gauge railway project. The residents accuse the county of not presenting the land subdivision proposal to the Ministry of Lands, thus curtailing title deeds processing.
Naomba serikali iharakishe hii maneno ya map iishe kabisa ndio tuwe mashamba yetu angalau iwe safi.
Finally, in Embu County, a motorbike rider and his 2 passengers were seriously injured after colliding with a police van. Embu North Sub-County Police Commander who was in the vehicle during the accident escaped unhurt. Eyewitnesses say the driver of the police vehicle was at fault, calling on the county government to erect pumps on the section of the road.
Jamaa pikipiki walikuwa wanatoka ya town walikuwa wamebeba watu wawili. Sasa kuja kupita hivi gari ya polisi kitoka pande ya chini ikamuingia. Sasa ikapita na yeye akarushwa juu, akarushwa kwa ile mtaro, na yeye madamu akarushwa pande hii.
Pia wao waangalifu katika kubeba abiria. Pikipiki moja nitakana inabeba abiria moja. Sasa wakati wanabebana abiria wawili, hata cruise control ni rahisi. So nikitaka watu wa pikipiki wawe, sijasema makosa ndio, lakini natakana wawe waangalifu sana wakati wanaendesha hizo pikipiki.
Let's now cross our borders, where 5 new babies have been born in 6 weeks to one gorilla family, leading the Ugandan Wildlife Service to declare a baby boom. Elsewhere, Tanzanian government has increased its repression close to October's elections, with few observers of the Tanzanian political scene expecting a free and fair election.
It is a baby boom for the gorilla family in the neighboring country, Uganda. 5 new babies have been born in 6 weeks to one gorilla family, according to Uganda Wildlife Service. The family, which now has 18 members, lives in the Bwindi National Park in southwestern Uganda. Mountain gorillas are endangered with just over 1,000 in existence. The Uganda Wildlife Service said this year was unprecedented for gorilla births, with 7 babies born since January compared to 3 for the whole of 2019. And Human Rights Watch says the authorities in Tanzania have stepped up repression of opposition parties and non-government organizations ahead of next month's elections. The watchdogs have also criticized new media restrictions which prevent media outlets from covering sensitive political issues, including the coronavirus pandemic. Since mid-June, at least 17 opposition party members and critics of the government have been arrested. They have accused Tanzanian government of increasing repression so close to October's election. Lastly, it is now confirmed that Russian opposition politician Alexei Navalny was poisoned with a Novichok nerve agent. Navalny was airlifted to Berlin for treatment after falling ill during a flight in Russia's Siberia region last month. He has been in a coma since then. His team alleges he was poisoned on the orders of President Vladimir Putin, though this has been dismissed by Kremlin. The German government says it will inform the EU and NATO of its findings. Ruth Wamboy for Channel 1 News.
Thank you, Ruth Wamboy, for that report. We're taking another break. Business News is coming up next.
On the next episode of Corner.
Do you remember what happened?
Why am I in a hospital? What am I doing here? Who are you?
I wish there was a way you could have worked it out.
Nilijaribu over and over, but ikakuwa ngumu zaidi kukaa pamoja.
Wanjala, is there something wrong?
She can't remember anything.
That's normal after a traumatic experience.
No, Mama.
on the next episode.
Wanawake kuimba na kucheza katika eneo hili sio jambo la kushangaza. Lakini wakiwa na ala za kazi mikononi mwao, hadithi ndiyo hiyo. Kutokana na mpango wa halmashauri ya kitaifa ya unyunyizaji maji mashamba, wakazi wa Turkana sasa wana hadithi tofauti ya kusimulia.
Wale watu wana mashamba na hawataka kulima, tunasema sasa, kwa nini wewe unaumia njaa na mchanga ndio hii, mvua ndio hii, maji ndio hii?
Kenya is a breathtaking destination with sites that offer you eye-opening experience. Channel 1 offers you an experience of Kenya's finest tourist spots.
It is a peaceful place.
Magical scenes.
Second World War was prosecuted from this hotel.
Thursday, 9 p.m.
The remaining bit is now for the experts.
Welcome back. Time for business. Korean Exim Bank will finance the Digital Media City feasibility study at the Konza Metropolis at a cost of 94 million shillings. Konza Technopolis Development Authority CEO John Tanui says the digital media project will be a key component of phase 2 of the Konza City development, which will drive development of Kenya's creative industry.
Kenya has secured a 94 million shillings grant from Korea's Exim Bank to finance a 10-month digital media city feasibility study at the Konza City. Konza Technopolis Development Authority CEO John Tanui said the feasibility studies will be carried out by a governmental multi-agency team, which includes the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, KBC.
Meeting for the feasibility study for the Konza Digital Media City, and this is sponsored by Korea Exim Bank. We receive a grant to do a feasibility study for the digital media city at Konza Technopolis, which is going to be in the phase 2 of the Konza Technopolis. The grant is about 90 million Kenya shillings, and it will take about 10 months.
KBC will play a huge role in the development of the smart city by providing content and even resources for media content production. This will definitely go a long way in harnessing the creativity by the youth, by giving them a platform that they can leverage on to grow their talents.
TV broadcasting, animation and gaming, filming and photography and ICT programming will be the main components of the digital media city.
So these are new areas that will open opportunities in job employment, and it also create opportunities for us to have products for local consumption in the entertainment industry, and also products for exports.
The project, which will be constructed on a 60-acre piece of land and modeled on South Korea's Sangam Digital Media City in Seoul, is expected to drive development of Kenya's creative industry.
Through this project, whose key objective is to develop a vibrant creative sector ecosystem, the youth will be able to find a platform where they can harness their creative potentials and turn them into gainful enterprises. I keep on encouraging our young people and telling them that really they can do more in the digital space than they are currently doing.
The government says already a number of investors have shown interest in the project and is scouting for more institutions to partner in construction of the digital city once the feasibility study is completed. Once complete, the project is projected to create over 50,000 jobs. Benson Rioba reporting for Channel 1 Business.
Only small businesses hardest hit by the COVID-19 pandemic will benefit from the second tranche of government stimulus aimed at supporting businesses facing capital challenges. This is according to Industrialization Cabinet Secretary Betty Maina, who says a targeted disbursement would be employed after a mapping exercise to identify beneficiaries is concluded. She says the first tranche of the government stimulus targeted all businesses without considering their sizes or how they have been affected by COVID-19.
Over 90% of businesses in Kenya are micro, small and medium enterprises, 81% of which are micro enterprises. A report by the African Union Development Agency NEPAD notes that 73% of Kenya's micro, small and medium enterprises saw a decline in revenue due to the impact of COVID-19, leading to closure or downsizing. This saw the government earmark 5 billion shillings to support small businesses affected by COVID-19. Industrialization Cabinet Secretary Betty Maina says more cash would be disbursed to small businesses, but this time round, a mapping exercise would be undertaken to ensure that only the hardest hit businesses benefit. Among conditions for micro, small and medium enterprises to benefit is that they need to formalize their operations to ensure they are within the system where they can be reached for both financial and technical support. EcoBank says there is need for the banking sector to ramp up support for the MSME sector in ensuring access to affordable finance, as most have resorted to exorbitant but easily accessible digital loans. In addition, the government is pledging more training as well as preferential treatment to participate in the public procurement program. In July, the government released a list of 334 items that public institutions are required to purchase locally in support of local businesses. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
Kenya has been ranked at position 115 out of the 152 in the latest Competitive Industrial Performance Index report, which benchmarks the ability of countries to produce and export manufactured goods competitively. Kenya was ranked lower than Egypt and South Africa at position 64 and 52 respectively, toward the East African counterparts, with Tanzania ranked 123 and Uganda at position 128.
The Competitive Industrial Performance Index Report 2020 benchmarked the ability of countries to produce and export manufactured goods competitively. It provides a yardstick against which Kenya can compare its manufacturing competitiveness on a global level. The report, which ranks China second, says the second largest economy is very strong in manufacturing due to the use of high technology that is applied by 30.6% of its manufacturers, whereas only 9.3% are resources-based manufacturers. Comparatively, Kenya's manufacturing sector export structure is dependent on resources-based manufacturers at 42.9%, with high-tech manufacturers only accounting to 5.5%. Commenting on the report, Industrialization Principal Secretary Dr. Francis Owino highlighted the importance of driving the competitiveness of the manufacturing sector, noting the need to improve our overall performance to boost trade and investment. He said this report shows Kenya is at position 115 out of 152. This is far from our expectations and calls for urgent need to collaborate to achieve faster growth in the sector. We will continue to collaborate with various stakeholders to achieve targets in the policy-making formula to get Kenya in the global competitiveness map. End of quote. The Kenya Association of Manufacturers says though Kenya continues to progress in the ease of doing business index, there's need to look into our ability to sustainability produce goods and services. In a quote, we must all look at our ability to produce goods for which there is a market at a price and a quality that their market is willing to pay for, said the Kenya Association of Manufacturers Chairman Mushai Kunyiha.
And in other business matters, consumer goods manufacturer Unilever has pledged to drop fossil fuels from its cleaning products by the year 2030 in efforts to reduce carbon emissions. Unilever says it will invest $1.2 billion in the effort. Here are the details of this and other stories in our international business news roundup.
Unilever says it would replace petrochemicals with ingredients made from plants and marine sources like algae. The company's best-selling brands include Omo, Safe, Sunlight and Domestos. Unilever said the chemicals used in its cleaning and laundry products make up 46% of its overall carbon footprint, and replacing them with more sustainable ingredients will reduce that footprint by up to 20%. The Anglo-Dutch firm said it was facing unprecedented demand for cleaning products during the coronavirus pandemic. Unilever said the $1.2 billion investment would go towards funding biotechnology research and creating biodegradable and water-efficient products. Elsewhere, the valuation of US tech giant Apple has now surpassed the entire value of all the members of the UK's top share index. Apple's shares rose 4% on Tuesday, valuing it at $2.3 trillion compared to the $1.5 trillion value of all the companies in the Financial Times Stock Exchange FTSE 100. It is just 2 weeks since Apple became the first US firm to be valued at $2 trillion. Investors have been snapping up US tech stocks as demand for tech goods surge amid the coronavirus pandemic. The iPhone maker has seen its share price more than double since March. Finally, Australia's economy has plunged into its first recession in nearly 30 years as it suffered the economic fallout from the coronavirus. The economy shrunk 7% in the April to June quarter compared to the previous 3 months. This is the biggest fall since records began back in 1959 and comes after a fall of 0.3% in the first quarter. An economy is considered to be in recession if it sees 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. This is the worst economic growth in 61 years due to a severe contraction in household spending on goods and services. Australia was the only major economy to avoid a recession during the 2008 global financial crisis, mainly due to demand from China for its natural resources. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
Time for sports. A Nairobi Boxing Association body workout event is set to be held on the 12th of this month at the Nairobi's Carnival. According to the association's chairperson, Kennedy Otieno, the event, which will be the first one to be held since March, will take that again. The event, which will be held for the first time since March, when all sporting activities were halted due to COVID-19 pandemic, will bring together boxing enthusiasts from Nairobi region.
As different sports federations in the country continue deliberating on resumption of sporting activities, various associations have already planned to have some tournaments with an aim of bringing together their respective sportsmen and women. The Nairobi Boxing Association will hold a full-body workout event next weekend at Carnival Hotel. The association chairman, Kennedy Otieno, has confirmed the event seeks to educate sportsmen and women on how to do workout at home, the best workout option, and education on how to improve all aspects of health, including boosting immune system.
At least we want to bring people together to ambia history ya COVID imekuwa mbaya, and we need to do this event. Hapo Carnival, we want to do total body workout. Start from spinning, aerobics, but we are going to keep the distance. We want people to be doing it there.
Otieno has said that the association will adhere to the government directives that are set to curb the spread of coronavirus, even as the sports ministry is set to lay down the measures before announcing total resumption of sporting activities. Frederick Muki for Channel 1 Sports.
Newly promoted Kenyan Premier League side Nairobi City Stars have signed midfielder Rooney Kola Oyaro from lower tier side Kenya School of Government. Kola becomes the third signing of the club in the current transfer window after Roland Makati, who was signed from Vapor Sports Club, and Timothy Ouma from Laser Hill Academy. The Simba wa Nairobi, who have lost Levis Opio and Kevin Okumu to Gor Mahia and Wazito FC respectively, have also managed to tie down 5 players: Anthony Muki and Calvin Masawa, centre-back Wycliffe Otieno, Charles Otieno Oduro and Davis Agesa to new long-term contracts. City Stars will be making a comeback to the top flight after they were promoted alongside Bidco United when Kenya Football Federation (FKF) moved to end the National Super League owing to the effects caused by the coronavirus pandemic. Across our borders, Arsenal have completed the signing of Lille defender Gabriel Magalhaes on a long-term deal. The Brazilian, age 22, was linked with a host of clubs and was close to an Everton switch prior to the coronavirus pandemic. But Lille eventually accepted bids from the Gunners in Napoli, with Mikel Arteta and Edu successfully convincing the centre-back to head to North London. Manchester United was reportedly in contact with the players' agents, but it is understood concrete talks were never held, and the defender now opted to put pen to paper with Arsenal on a 5-year deal for a fee which could rise to 27 million euros. Thank you very much for your audience tonight. My name is Edward Kabasa. My sign language interpreter has been Simon Karotha. Irene Wichuma Odem is coming up next with the day's weather forecast.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to Channel 1 Weather Updates. I hope you're well and you continue to enjoy dry weather conditions that are being experienced across the country. These are weather patterns that will persist in the next 24 hours tonight. Most parts of the country have been covered with partly cloudy conditions, save for a few areas over the western parts of the country and the Lake Basin region, especially around the lake in the county of Kisumu, where there are showers accompanied by thunderstorms. Thank you for your time. My name is Irene Mchuma Odem. Let's dig deeper on what is ahead of us in terms of weather patterns. And tomorrow morning, the whole country will experience sunny conditions. The sun will rise earliest from the coastal strip at 6:19 a.m., but this would change during the afternoon hours. There will be showers accompanied by thunderstorms over a few places in the county of Kisumu and areas around the region. These will be limited to Eldoret, Kisii, Kakamega, Kericho, and a few areas in Narok and Nakuru. The northeastern parts of the country will experience sunny conditions during the afternoon hours. Weather patterns that will also prevail at the coastal strip and the southeastern lowlands, similarly over the northwestern parts of the country. Temperatures are still rising across the country. Mandera will experience highs of 36 degrees Celsius. The capital will experience highs of 25 and lows of 13 degrees Celsius. Let's prepare for light clothes and observe the weather. Up next is the international forecast. You have a good night. See you tomorrow.
Therapeutical.